Mercedes party and ruin that 1-2 as he hits the wall right at the final corner. Max Verstappen hits the wall.
That's the fastest street circuit on Earth, and Max Verstappen was 2/10 up on Lewis Hamilton with 2/3 of the lap behind him, one corner from pole, and he put it in the wall. So here's the thing, nobody says out loud, the man with the best car control of his generation crashes. He has crashed on the way to the grid. He's crashed out of the lead at over 200 miles an hour. He's spun a Red Bull 360 degrees with cars on every side of him, and he saved every single one of those except 2. Today we're counting 8 of them, the ones he caught, the ones he didn't, and the one he still calls the best save of his career. We covered Zandvoort's last stand earlier this week. This is the other half of that story because one of these 8 happened on that banking, and he's going back there on Sunday. Because when a reporter asked him how much of that best save was skill and how much was luck, he didn't say skill. He gave a number, 2 words. And people have been arguing about whether he was being modest or honest ever since. Let's get into the details. Start in Brazil, but not the Brazil you're thinking of. 2 years earlier, Toro Rosso, turn 11. The car steps out and keeps going, not a slide, a rotation. At the worst point, the Toro Rosso is sitting completely perpendicular to the apex, sideways. Pointing across the track, it's supposed to be driving down. He was 17, and he'd been in a Formula One car for a matter of months. He brought it back, straightened it, and carried on like he'd checked a mirror. No championship on it, no title fight, no cameras hunting him. Just a teenager doing something with his hands that most of the grid couldn't do on their best day. So, if he could already do that at 17, what does it look like when the car is already broken? Hungary, 2020. It's wet, and he hasn't started the race yet. He is driving to the grid. On the way to the grid, he locks up, comes off the brakes, locks up again, and goes straight into the barrier. Front wing gone. Suspension damaged. Before the lights have even come on. In his own words, he thought the race was over. And then he reversed the car out of the wall and drove it back to the grid himself. His mechanics rebuilt it in a little over 20 minutes, finishing with roughly 30 seconds to spare before the start. He started 7th. He finished 2nd. So he can't always save the car, sometimes he saves the result instead. But what happens when there's no time to think at all? This season. Miami, lap 1, second corner, and this is the current car, the RB22, the one that's been fighting him all year. The rear goes, not a snap, a full 360-degree rotation, mid-pack at racing speed, with cars on every side of him. And he doesn't hit a single one of them, not one. He comes out of the spin still pointing forwards and still in the race. Formula One posted the clip, and one comment underneath it read, "Only man on the grid who could save that." Here's the part that matters, though. He didn't take the compliment. On the radio, he apologized to his team. Afterwards, he said it plainly he made a mistake, he oversteered, he did a 360, and in the end, he's also just a human being. He dropped to 9th doing it. Took an early gamble onto the hard tire under a safety car, rejoined 16th, and still came home 5th. That's the pattern starting. He does something nobody else on the grid can do, and then he tells you it wasn't that special. So if he won't take credit for a 360 in traffic, what does he think counts as a good save? Zandvoort. Last year. And you need to understand what this corner is before you watch what happens in it. The banking at Zandvoort is not a normal corner. The track tilts up underneath you, the loading goes through the floor, and if the car lets go there, it does not let go gently. Lap 1. He's on the softs, one of the fastest cars on the grid to 200 kilometers an hour off the line, and he's alongside Lando Norris carrying more speed than the car wants through turns 2 and 3. And the RB21 snaps, full tank slapper the rear swinging one way, then the other, then back again, while he's still wheel to wheel with another Formula One car and the banking is arriving. He catches it mid-fight, doesn't lift, doesn't lose the position, and completes the pass. This is a man who had already won his home race 3 times before that lap. He knows that corner better than anyone alive, and it still nearly took him. And that circuit hosts a Formula One race for the last time in history this weekend. Remember that. We come back to it. So if the track he knows best can still do that to him, what happens somewhere he can't see the road at all? Interlagos, 2016. The wettest race most people watching had ever seen. He's running second, main straight, 190 miles an hour, standing water, visibility somewhere near zero, and the car turns dead left. Not a slide, the whole thing pivots and points itself directly at the wall at 190 miles an hour with all four wheels locked. He keeps it out of the guardrail, and he keeps second place. His engineer comes on the radio and says, "Well held, Max." And Max says, "Heartbeat went a bit higher there." That's it. That's the whole reaction. He finished third that day after dropping to 16th to the podium in 16 laps in those conditions. Daniel Ricciardo, same car, same strategy, finished 8th, 10 seconds behind him. Christian Horner compared the drive to Senna at Monaco. Jenson Button said any other driver would have crashed 5 times before turn 1. And then on the podium, someone asked him the question, how much of that save was skill and how much was luck? He could have said skill. Everyone had already said it for him. He said 50-50. Half of it, by his own account, was luck. The best save of his career, by the man who made it, was a coin flip. So if he genuinely believes half of that was luck, what happens on the days the coin lands the other way? Silverstone, 2021. Copse, one of the fastest corners in Formula One, taken at north of 180 miles an hour. He isn't the one who loses control. He's the one who gets hit. No amount of car control saves you from an impact you didn't cause. He went to hospital. There was nothing to catch. If the 51G figure can be confirmed against an official FIA source, insert it here. If not, record the line as written. Do not guess it. And Baku, the same season, lap 46 of 51. He's leading comfortably, cruising to a win he has already earned. The left rear lets go on the pit straight at over 200 miles an hour. There is no correction for that. No hands are quick enough. The car goes into the concrete on the right-hand side of the start-finish straight, and the race is over 3 laps from the end. He climbed out of it, walked round the back of the car, and kicked the tire that failed him. And here's what the sport handed him in return. At the restart, Lewis Hamilton caught the wrong switch on his brake balance, locked the fronts, and went straight on at turn 1. He finished last. Max lost a win he'd already won, and still left Baku leading the championship by 4 points, 50-50. He wasn't being modest, he was being accurate. And that's the answer to Jeddah too. Go back to that lap we opened on. Every sector purple, 2/10 up on Hamilton in the middle of a championship fight. He walks the car past wall after wall after wall, all of them close enough to touch. And at turn 27, the last corner, the last few seconds, the front locked, and it was gone. Pole became third. He didn't blame the car. He said he didn't understand what happened, which is a strange admission from the best pair of hands of his generation until you realize he'd given us the number already. Half of this is him. Half of it is the day. And on Sunday, he goes back to Zandvoort, the last Formula One race that circuit will ever host, in front of his own crowd, in a car that's already thrown him a tank slapper on that banking once. We're covering that race the moment it ends. 8 moments. 5 he caught, 3 he couldn't, and 1 he called a coin flip. Here's where we stand. The people who call it luck are half right, and Max is the one who told them so. But luck doesn't show up 8 times in one career and only ever land on the same set of hands. You don't get lucky perpendicular at 17. You don't get lucky through a 360 in traffic. What he calls luck is the margin he leaves himself, and he's the one who built it. So if you're tired of watching the best pair of hands on the grid written off as a man who got lucky in a fast car, subscribe, because Zandvoort is in days, and we're covering it the moment the flag drops. Now tell us in the comments, Brazil 2016 or Zandvoort 2025? Which save still makes you flinch? And be honest about the number. Was he being modest? Or was 50-50 exactly right? We'll see you at the next green flag.